Charlton Heston as the retired sheriff who thought he'd locked up his past behind him.
There's an end coming for me. I can't just sit there on the couch and then wait for it.
James Coburn is the escaped prisoner
On your feet, Provo.
who unleashed the past in a shower of violence. An innocent girl is the bait in the deadliest game of all.
Give me more goddamn coke.
How could you?
Open your eyes and I told you when I see you and talk again. You won't be pretty no more. You know what?
Father will kill you.
I'm going to get myself provisioned and get this track, and I'm going to stay there till I get my daughter back.
Two crazed men going back in time with their guns as judge and jury.
Yeah, well, I know where you're going. You're going about 6 feet under. That's where you're going. They got 7 guns, you're 1.
Everybody's got to die. Nobody's got to give up.
You didn't keep me alive all those years. And that humor. There's knowing I'd be standing here with you one day.
I know what you're gonna do.
What they're gonna do?
Please!
Only you got it!
Vengeance becomes a brutal scene played before a helpless father, and everyone's life hangs in the balance.
I can shoot. What about Susan?
Two men chasing each other, fighting against the reality of time, living by the old rules, dueling to the death, driven by revenge. These are the last hard men.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Morning Western Roundup. Today we're talking
I'm a
about...
big admirer of Lee Marvin.
Oops, hold on a second here.
Most talented actor. He's currently starring along with Oliver Reed.
Okay, everybody take a drink. There we go. So we're talking about 1976's The Last Hard Men. Now, this is not a porno movie, in spite of what the title sounds like. There's not a lot known or written about this film, so I don't have a lot of like tidbits, backstage type tidbits. In fact, I didn't even know about this movie until recently. I saw it listed somewhere, and so I recorded it and I watched it, and I was like, wow, this is really something. It's very much it was directed by Andrew McLaglen, and we'll talk about him in a second, but it feels like a Sam Peckinpah film. So I don't know if they were going for that style or if it was something that Peckinpah rejected, but it's a very violent film. I haven't seen anything like it since like The Wild Bunch. Very brutal, you know, they do the slow motion shots, the squibs, you know, lots of blood, but there's also a meanness about it. And I find it really cool. You know, it's almost like they took the spaghetti Western and mashed it up with Peckinpah and came up with this. Stars, of course, Charlton Heston and James Coburn. Coburn really steals the show. Every time he's on the screen, you're like, wow, he's a really bad guy. Coburn's one of those guys that has that magnetism. Same thing with Heston too, but Coburn has he's got all the good scenes, I should say. You know, he's the bad guy, and so he can really, really tear it up. So he's really good in this. Andrew McLaglen, who directed it, started off in Westerns, you know, almost from the time he was, you know, old enough to work in the business. He worked with John Ford, doing second unit work for him. And the reason he got in with John Ford is because his father was Victor McLaglen. And everybody knows him from Academy Award-winning actor for The Informer and tons of John Ford films, Gunga Din, great actor, and then in later years a great character actor in a lot of John Wayne's films. So Andrew, got into the business as a director, doing second unit stuff, and he was no stranger to westerns. He directed a bunch of John Wayne films, particularly towards the end of his career. But he did a ton of television westerns in the 50s and 60s. He directed 116 episodes of Have Gun Will Travel with the great Richard Boone western series. And actually, many of those were written by, or the early ones were written by Gene Roddenberry. He directed episodes of Rawhide, and I think he did like 96 episodes, the most episodes, directed the most episodes of anybody for Gunsmoke as well. This movie was his last feature Western. He did some TV stuff and he did some other movies, but this was the last Western that he did for feature films. I don't know how many of you guys have seen it or even heard of this. I'm hoping when we go into the comments here, we'll see if anybody's seen it. If you have, let's see. I don't think anybody's seen it. Doesn't look like it. But yeah, search it out because it's really a cool film. There's the sequence, and they kind of showed it to you in the trailer there, where James Coburn is using Heston's daughter, but this is a revenge film. He wants James Coburn got locked up into Yuma Territorial Prison by Heston, and he's been spending many years here plotting his revenge. And he was planning on getting out, and he could have when he broke out with his gang, he could have gone off to Mexico, but he didn't. He wanted to get even, so he's gonna kidnap his daughter. And they hole up on Indian territory so that the sheriff's posses can't go on the land. So it forces Heston to come at him by himself. And with the help of her boyfriend, played by Chris Mitchum, Heston and him go looking for Coburn. They're outnumbered. And Coburn, he basically he knows that Heston's watching him from a distance, so he tosses the daughter and tells her to take off running, and then he tells his men to go get her. So they're chasing her, and it's a very violent, basically a rape scene. He's telling them to go have their way with her in front of Heston, who's watching through binoculars, and he's doing this to expose Heston because he doesn't know where he is. And he wants them to open fire so they can get him. And Chris Mitchum knows what the guy's trying to do, and he's telling him, no, you can't. So he's forced to watch these guys brutalize his daughter. And at one point, Coburn yells out to him. He says, "Hey, you see that? They're effing your daughter." Man, that was brutal. As a father, I'm watching this thing, and Heston is completely... there's nothing he can do. And Chris Mitchum, tells him, she'll survive this. That's the important thing, because if they expose themselves, they're going to get her and themselves killed. So anyway, that's an example of sort of the brutality that's in this film. And it's quite good. It's quite a good film. Great performances. Larry Wilcox's first movie. You remember him from Chips. And a Mexican actor, Jorge, what was his name? Let me see if I gotta find it here. Hold on a second here. Jorge Rivero. is in this. He was in a bunch of stuff in the 70s. In fact, he was in Rio Lobo with John Wayne. Barbara Hershey plays the daughter. And then there's a bunch of other character actors that are in this. But primarily it's Heston, Coburn, Hershey, Rivero. Oh, and Michael Parks. So that's the cast. So anyway, it's a great film. So take a look for it if you like that type of Western. So let's say good morning to folks here. Dr. Mask is probably already left. He says he had to bolt, but we'll say good morning anyway. Fearless Freep is here. Good morning. Neon Todd Studio. Good morning. Victor Thomas. Good morning. Dead Drop. Good morning. Neon Todd says Coburn's always great to watch, whatever he's in. He really is. Like I said, he's got that magnetism. Joe Boss says Hardman, gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Christopher Palmer, good morning. I was about 35 or 40 when I first saw this, and the rape scene still shocked me. Yeah, I mean, that really jumps out at me, the way that they told that. Timnet, good morning. Hi, Graham. I have seen it and read Brian Garfield's author of Death Wish novel, Gun Down, on which it is based. Unfortunately, it was a box office failure in '76, available on DVD from Shout Factory. Well, thanks for letting everybody know that, Tim. Yeah, Brian Garfield wrote the novel Gun Down, and he actually he worked on the screenplay too. He's uncredited, but he did a first pass on the screenplay of this, and he was very supportive of it. He thought that they really did a good job with his book. Oh, good morning, Laura DePhillips. I'm glad you are here, and hoping you're enjoying all these westerns that we're going over. Jasper Plan 9. Hey there, bud. Just popping in to say hello and good morning to all. Good morning. All right. I didn't realize that Brian Garfield had written Death Wish. That's interesting. Thanks for pointing that out, Tim. But it makes sense. I mean, his style of writing must have that kind of edgy, almost grindhouse, I would say. That's what this movie kind of reminds me of, is kind of a well-shot grindhouse Western. Okay. I think that's everybody we've said good morning to. Good. Next week, for Western Roundup, I'm going to do a guilty pleasure of mine. I love the movie Rooster Cogburn. I like it better than True Grit. I mean, True Grit's fine. John Wayne makes that movie, you know. If it wasn't John Wayne in it, it really wouldn't be that great a film. But the sequel, Rooster Cogburn, it pits John Wayne and Katharine Hepburn together for the first and only time in their careers, these two legends. And it's like you're sitting back and watching these two pros go together. It's an amazing